You've likely heard the phrases self-directed learning, I own my PD, and compelling why from district staff development members. These are the pillars that we use to ground and guide us as we learn and plan our continuous improvement. Connected to those phrases are standards for professional learning. Did you know that there are standards? Much like MDE provides our content areas guidance through content standards, our professional learning is given guidance from the nation's most renowned organization for professional development, Learning Forward. The idea is that those who develop, organize, or coordinate professional development should ensure that the standards guide our insight and decision making regarding the content and structure for professional learning. Quality professional learning is designed intentionally to meet each of the 7 standards. What are the 7? Learning communities, leadership, resources, data, learning designs, implementation, and outcomes. Because each standard is structured with the same STEM, let's take a look at how each standard begins. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students. What that means is that all PD must increase educator effectiveness, and that increased effectiveness must translate into increased results for all students. And when we say all, we mean all. Educators must have a commitment to each and every student, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, exceptionality, language, socioeconomic condition, culture, or sexual orientation, in order for any quality professional learning to drive success. That STEM highlights the compelling why of all great professional learning, increasing educator effectiveness to impact student results. Now let's dig into the 7 standards. Learning communities. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students occurs within learning communities committed to continuous improvement, collective responsibility, and goal alignment. So, what does that mean? You and a group of colleagues are engaged in a cycle of continuous improvement, like the Plan, Do, Reflect cycle that was introduced at the Leadership Retreat in August of 2018. If you need a refresher, check out the video located here. You and your group of colleagues share responsibility for next steps and work together to sustain focus on the group's commitments. You and your colleagues have aligned your learning and action steps with PLC, school, and district goals. The district World's Best Workforce Goal areas are ready for kindergarten, third grade reading, closing the achievement gap, increasing graduation rates, and preparing all students for college and career. It's important to note that learning communities aren't working exclusively with your grade level or content alike colleagues. It's about connecting with colleagues around a common goal. In our revised post-PD survey, you'll be asked to check the boxes of statements that best describe your learning experience related to learning communities. Did your PD focus on continuous improvement, shared responsibility for student success, and was it aligned to goals? Leadership. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students requires skillful leaders who develop capacity, advocate, and create support systems for professional learning. So, what does that mean? Leadership, including classroom, school, and system leaders, work collaboratively with others to create a vision and structure for professional learning. Leadership advocates for quality professional learning, and you often hear from leaders about their own continuous learning journey. Leaders ensure there are meaningful systems and structures that support your professional learning and continuous improvement. In our feedback survey, you'll be asked how well school and district leadership supports your professional learning, and you'll be given an opportunity to give any individual kudos for someone who has done an exceptional job in leading learning today. Resources. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students requires prioritizing, monitoring, and coordinating resources for educator learning. So, what does that mean? Decisions about resources, which include time, materials, technology where appropriate, and collegial expertise, human resources, are thoughtfully aligned to school and district goals and priorities with an understanding of student and educator learning needs. In the feedback survey, you'll be asked to consider how resources were allocated to support your learning. Consider time, materials, technology where appropriate, and collegial expertise. Data. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students uses a variety of sources and types of student, educator, and system data to plan, assess, and evaluate professional learning. It's helpful to begin by understanding what is considered data. Student data can be drawn from within the classroom and beyond the classroom. Classroom data can include formative and summative assessments, grades, observations, work samples, performance metrics, portfolios, and even self-reports. Beyond the classroom data can include demographic data, engagement, attendance, student perceptions, behavior and discipline, participation in extracurricular programs, post-graduation education. And it's also important when designing professional learning that we include educator data, teacher preparation information, educator perceptions, classroom or work performance, student results, and individual professional learning goals. Analyzing our system involves understanding student and educator data trends across grade levels and also digging into fiscal, personnel, and time allocations systemically, as well as participation, engagement, and communication practices regarding our professional learning. It's important to use data to inform action steps and also to check in on progress along the way. We keep asking ourselves, what's the evidence to show that what we're doing is working? This evidence not only drives the plans that educators make during professional development, but collecting feedback data will also inform how we structure our professional learning time. Our feedback survey asks you to consider the evidence the leaders analyzed when organizing your learning time, and you're also asked to consider how you did or will use data or evidence regarding your learning today. Learning design. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students integrates theories, research, and models of human learning to achieve its intended outcomes. So, what does that mean? The learning you participated in was designed for adult educators. It included at least a few of these research based features: active engagement, modeling, reflection, metacognition, opportunity to consider application, inviting feedback, a plan for ongoing support, and formative and summative assessments. In well designed professional learning, you have an opportunity to enhance or refine your knowledge, skills, dispositions, and ultimately your instructional practice. The feedback survey asks you to consider to what degree was your learning aligned to the best practices in adult learning. Implementation. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students, applies research on change, and sustains support for implementation of professional learning for long-term change. So what does this mean? There is a common thread to the learning we experience throughout the year and over the course of several years, and you and your colleagues understand how it aligns to the overall continuous improvement in your school and in our district. You and your colleagues understand the expectations of application of the learning you've engaged in, and you and your colleagues walk away with a plan to put into practice the learning you've engaged in today, and its purpose is grounded in student success. The feedback survey asks you to affirm your level of readiness for implementing next steps. Outcomes. Professional learning that increases educator effectiveness and results for all students aligns its outcomes with educator performance and student curriculum standards. So this means it is clear to see how the learning you engaged in can be woven into the day-to-day work you do with students. It's also clear to see how the integration of this learning will increase student learning. The feedback survey invites you to share how the learning you engaged in will impact ongoing student learning. Quality professional learning weaves together all 7 of these standards: learning communities, leadership, resources, data, learning designs, implementation, and outcomes. The learning that we engaged in is truly designed to increase educator effectiveness and results for all students. And as with any system, we are a work in progress. We need you to share your feedback following each dedicated day of professional learning in order to inform our next steps in learning so that we can more effectively design quality professional learning opportunities.